This is the Corsa Performance Sport Catback Exhaust System with the polished tips, and it is available for all 2024 and newer Mustang GTs equipped with the factory non-active exhaust. Now the Corsa Sport will be a premium catback option for the S650 owners out there who are after a healthy amount of volume over the factory system, but don't necessarily want or need the excess volume of the more aggressive systems in the category, such as the Corsa Extreme or other category screamers. Now the Corsa will feature that 3-inch mandrel bent tubing from tip to tip, premium 304 grade stainless steel, and the polished tips, all for right around that $2,000 price point. All right guys, let's break down the sound clips you heard with our S650 GT at the very start of this video, and to me, I think the sound with the Corsa Sport is awesome. Not too loud, not too quiet. In fact, Corsa claims it's only 8 decibels louder than the factory system, which I think is a bit debatable. I think it's a little bit louder than that, but regardless, sounds great. Still holds on to a bit of that exotic tone that you sometimes get out of the Corsa stuff, which certainly helps make this system very unique. So, breaking out my tried and true Wake the Neighbor scale, I'm gonna go soft 4 out of 5 here on my 1 to 5 or 1 to Wake the Neighbor scale. It's not quite as loud, obviously, as the Corsa Extreme or other 5 out of 5 systems, but it's no slouch at the same time. Inside the car, on the other hand, totally different story. Corsa utilizes their patented RSC or reflective sound cancellation technology, which keeps things very, very pleasant on the inside of the car while cruising. So these are the Jekyll and Hyde systems. I coined that phrase a long time ago about the Corsa stuff, mainly in regards to the Extreme because they just melt faces outside of the car. That still applies here to the Sport as well. You can definitely control the volume with your right foot, but on the inside of the car, you're gonna have a very, very quiet experience. Well, let's move away from sound and talk a little bit more about the construction. And if you know anything about the Corsa brand, you know you're gonna find a premium build. Now, in this case, guys, that includes the 304 grade stainless steel throughout here from tip to tip, essentially, including things like the unique double helix X-pipe, as you're looking at right here. Everything's gonna pass through the Corsa mufflers and then out of the more traditional polished tip. Now, these are slash-cut double-walled tips and etched with the Corsa logo, but if you wanted something a little bit more aggressive, they also make a really sharp black tip as well. Now, finally, guys, the system does clamp into place. Everything is included, all of your hardware clamps, all that good stuff, and that will make for a very painless bolt-on install. Now, moving into pricing, and the Corsa quality and tone does come at a cost. That has been a consistent theme over the years, and this system is no different. In fact, coming in right around 2,000 bucks, give or take a bit, certainly does make the Corsa one of the more premium options on the site for the non-active cars here, amongst other heavy hitters from companies like AWE or Borla. All right, last but not least, let's talk about the install. And seeing as though there is no cutting, there's no permanent modification needed here, the site's gonna call this a strong 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and about an hour or so to complete from start to finish. But now to give you a better idea of how this one might go down in the garage or driveway at home, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
Tools required for this install include an impact gun, a ratchet, an exhaust hanger remover tool, rubber mallet, an extension, 15mm socket, 13mm swivel socket, and a pry bar. Today we're installing an exhaust on our Mustang, so let's get started. So the first thing we're gonna do is come to the double flange behind our cat. We have 4 15mm bolts that we can loosen up with a 15mm socket. Now we're gonna leave this just like that for now as we work on the rest. One thing to keep in mind is when we go to pull this off, this little hook is keeping this on, so you're gonna have to get a flathead screwdriver to pull back on that on both sides when we go to remove it. Next, we can come right behind our rear diff to this hanger. There's one on each side of this bracket. There's a 13mm bolt holding it on. So I've got a 13mm swivel socket on an extension to pop this off. And now we'll just come to the other side and do the same exact thing. And now with them both removed, you can push up to get those hangers off the hooks. and do that same thing on the other side. Now, last thing we need to do before we can remove this is remove these 2 bolts that were on the inside of those 2 hangers behind the rear diff. So I'm using that same 13mm socket with an extension. Now with those removed, we can push it up off the hook and pull that down to get the clearance we need. So now I've got myself a buddy to support the weight of the rear of the exhaust while I work on the front. We're gonna push this towards the rear to disconnect these 2 pipes, and then we can pull it forward to pull it out of the back hangers. So now with our exhaust removed, we can take an exhaust hanger remover tool to pop off these 2 hangers because we will have to reuse them for our new exhaust. Now, last thing we need to pop off is our 2 clamps that are at the front of the exhaust. You can take a rubber mallet and get the edge of a pry bar on the edge of the clamp to tap these off. So now that we have our stock exhaust removed, the first thing we need to do is install our adapter pipes. So we're gonna take those clamps that we removed from the factory exhaust, slip them onto the pipe, and then we're just gonna line up that little pin with the notch there, and then tap it on with a rubber mallet. We're gonna do the same thing on the other one. Slide in your adapters. And then I'm gonna take a 15mm socket, tighten down all 4 of our nuts. Now next we're gonna install our X-pipe. I've got a pull jack back here to support the weight of the back of the X-pipe while we get it connected up here. So take 2 of your clamps and get those slid on. Now once we have that connected, we can come back to our clamps and take a 15mm socket to tighten these down. Now next we can install our tailpipe. So take another clamp, slide that on, and then we're also going to take the hanger that we removed from our factory exhaust, slide that onto our rod. And then I'm going to connect my pipe. And I'm just going to pull this carpet out of the way, rotate this up, and then I'm just going to hook that hanger up onto our hook. I'm going to leave this clamp loose for now until we get our muffler in. Next we'll install our muffler. So take another one of those clamps and slide it on. And then we're going to have to get our rod up into this isolator first. And now once we have that in our isolator, we can connect our 2 pipes. And then I'm just going to do the same steps on the other side, and then we'll come back and tighten this down once we have it all straightened out. So now I'm going to reinstall all the bolts holding in our hangers and this liner. We've got 2 different types of bolts. We've got a flange bolt and a bolt with a captured washer. The one with the washer is going for the carpet piece, and the flange bolt is going to the hanger. So just get that threading into the U-clips. I'll hook my carpet piece back in. And then you just kind of slip your hand in there, get the thread started. And now I'm just going to take an impact with an extension and a 13mm swivel socket, tighten all of those down. Now our new pipes are a little bit closer to this liner than our stock exhaust. So I'm just grabbing a ratchet with that 13mm swivel socket to get my middle 2 bolts. So now at this point, all we need to do is install our tip and tighten down those 2 clamps. Now I like to throw my tip on first. That way I can swing this up, rotate it how I need to get my tip perfectly centered in that exhaust cutout. So I'm gonna throw my clamp on there, slide on my tip, and obviously right now it's too low and to the left. But if we rotate that up, then it's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna rotate that so this is centered, and then I'm gonna tighten down my 2 clamps. So now for right now, I'm taking that 15mm socket. I'm just getting my clamps snugged up so that they hold, so I can do this one-handed. Now I'm gonna rotate that up how it needs to sit, and I'm gonna tighten down my clamps. Now we can come back to our tip, looking pretty good where it's at. So I'll take my 15mm socket and tighten that clamp down. Now you can repeat that process on the other side. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Corsa Performance Sport Catback Exhaust with polished tips for your 2024 and newer Mustang GT Fastback without active exhaust. Thank you for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.